All right. So I was talking about variables in the last session, though it didn't end well. The recording kind of cut, but we are going to proceed. I was talking about variables. So I'm going to explain a little bit about this overview, and then we are going to start defining variables. That is what we are going to spend so much time doing, so that we understand how to define all these variables that are on top here. Remember, I mentioned that we have two views. We have this data view, where we see the data that we have entered in our SPSS, and we also have the variable view. This is where we do what? We define the variables, okay? Defining variables, basically, it's specifying the attributes which are associated with these variables, okay? You're going to understand that as we start defining the variables. And for now, I just want for you to see the tools which are on top here. As you can see, we have file on top there, and this is what you do under file. You can start a new data view or a syntax view, okay? Then you can also import data. Remember, I talked about importing data from maybe Excel, from CSV file, okay? We're going to try to do this as we go on. Then we also have save all data. We also have export, okay? So you can actually export your data to these other applications or other file formats, okay? All right, so we have so much that you can explore. Then we also have edit. Under edit, we have a lot of tools again, and we also have view, okay? Then we also have data. Under data here, if you want, you can use the data to define variable properties, okay? You can also use them to sort your cases, okay? Then you also have transform, you also have analyze. Analyze, this is where you can maybe create reports. You can analyze different types of data, using descriptive statistics, come up with frequencies, okay? Then we have graphs. Graphs, you can also use graphs to use some templates to edit your graphs that you might have created. And then we also have utilities, okay? We have extensions, we also have a window, and we also have help, okay? So these are some of the tools that we have. Then we also have, under the menu, we have these ones here. We have the first one here, which is also which is an icon for power. So you can use this one here. Can click on it, and there it is. If you want to open another one, you can just choose in here, okay? Then we also have save here. We have print, we have recall, recently used, we have undo and redo. We have go to case. So you can, if you want to go to a certain case in your data, you can just go to case. Then we also have go to variable. If you want to go to a specific variable in your data, then you can just go to variable. We also have variables here. And we also have run descriptive statistics. We have find, okay? We have split file, select cases. We also have value labels. You're going to understand this as we go on. Then we have use variable sets, and then we have customize toolbars, okay? So basically, this is the interface that we have in SPSS, okay? Like I said, today we're going to spend a lot of time looking at that variable definition. We're going to define our variables. All right, but I should be quick to mention, remember, if you heard me, I was talking about cases. So in SPSS, we have cases, and then we have variables. Cases are these ones which are named with the numbers. The same way we have rows named with numbers in Excel. If you have interacted with Excel, we have cases named using what? Numbers in SPSS. Cases, basically, they carry our data, okay? So we're going to have data that is, what we're going to have in row number one is all the data that is associated with the case, which is what in number one, okay? And then we have variables on top there, which are named using what? Which are rows, which are columns, which are columns. So we have this variable here, which is name. Then we have the variable here, which is type. So each case is going to have a variable name, it's going to have a variable type, it's going to have a width, it's going to have decimals, it's going to have what? Label, it's going to have values, and it's also going to have missing, columns, align, measure, and what? And row. So basically, this is it, okay? So now we're going to dive into what? Variable definition. And remember, I said that variable definition, okay, before I talk about variable definition, I should mention what a variable is. I've talked about what a case is, but a variable basically in research, it refers to a person, a place, or a thing, or even an idea or phenomenon, okay, that you are trying to do what? To measure in some way. So you could be measuring the person, a place, maybe you're doing a research on a person or a place, okay? That is your what? Your variables, and that variable is going to have attributes, okay? So defining variable is basically giving it attributes, okay? But then you're going to ask me, why is it important to define what? To give attributes to these variables. It is important for us to be able to give attributes to these variables in order for SPSS to know how to deal or handle the data that we input, okay? We need to tell SPS properly how that data is so that it can know how to handle it, okay? So attributes are going to be associated with each variable, okay? Each variable might actually have unique attributes associated with it, okay, such as a name. So each variable is going to have a unique name, okay? And then each variable is going to have a unique data type. It's going to have a different level of measurement. That way SPS knows how to handle what? Your data, okay? All right. So I should also be quick to mention that there are different ways of how you can what? You can define your variables, okay? The first one is a syntax. You can use a syntax to define your variables, okay? To define your variables, you can use a syntax. If you want to use a syntax, you can just go under file. Then when you go under file, you're going to go under new. And if you want to define variables, you can choose what syntax, and then you're going to write the syntax that you want to use to define the what? The variables. Basically, you're going to write this syntax. If you are familiar with programming, you understand what a syntax is. These are basically the rules and everything that is required for what? For something to run. So you're going to create this variable, you're going to give it a name in the syntax, you're going to give it a data type in the syntax, you're going to define all the attributes that are associated with it in the syntax, okay? So basically, yeah. Or you can use the what? Variable properties what? Window, but we cannot use this one unless we already have what? Some data in our SPSS, and then now we can use variable properties window in order to do what? To define and give more attributes to our what? To our SPS, to our data, which is on what? In SPSS. Okay, you see, define variable properties here. When you click here, then you can define your what? Your variables. But then, like I said, we cannot use this one unless we have some data. Okay. So basically, these are the three ways that you can use to define our variables. I've talked about the syntax. You can write the syntax. And the second one I've talked about is the what? Is the variable properties window that you can use. And then the third one is using the what? The variable view. Here, as you can see, we already have variables here. If you want to define these variables, we can start from name, we give it a name, we come to data type, and that is what we are going to do. We are going to enter some data so that you can see how you can define these variables, okay? So we're going to start with the name, okay? We are going to start with a name. But before we write the name of the variable, let us look at some of the rules, okay? Some of the rules that we need to follow in order for us to write what? The variable name, okay? The first rule is basically, okay, before we talk about the rules, you should know that a name of a variable, it is used to refer to a variable in the what? In the syntax, okay? Okay? This is the name that is going to refer to that variable, okay? For instance, if you are looking at maybe people, you're going to have variable names like age, marital status, okay, where they live, okay. Those are basically names of of the variables that you're dealing with, okay. All right. So let's look at the rules. The first rule is that a variable name cannot contain spaces, okay. Variable name cannot contain spaces. Okay. For instance, if we had a variable named marital status, if we had a variable called marital status, it's marital status like that. Okay. If you have a variable with this name, then you would want to leave space and write status like that, huh? Okay. But you'll notice that if you do this, variable name contains an illegal character. Why? Because there's space there. So if you want to write a variable name that is like that, which has two words, you would like so much to use other ways of indicating that in order for people to understand what it is. Okay, for instance, marital status, if you want to write it, you can actually do this. Status like that, okay? Or alternatively, you can put an underscore here, like that. I mean, to write an underscore, like that, okay? So there, you actually have marital status, okay? So that is like a variable name, okay? And the other thing that I should talk about the rules is that a variable name cannot start with a what? With a digit. For instance, maybe this marital status, it doesn't start with, it starts with maybe a 9, okay? Or maybe an 8. Let's just try to put an 8 at a 7 there. And let's try to go somewhere else. You notice variable names contains an illegal paste character because a variable cannot start with a digit, okay? Yes, right. So basically, those are some of the things that you need to know about a variable name. And I should also be quick to mention that a variable name can actually, I want to say that if you change a variable name, for instance, if we have a variable age here, basically it's actually age that we are going to work with so that you can understand. If we have a variable called age here, okay, and then you go to data view this side, you notice that we have a variable named age here, okay? So if we have this variable and we decide that we want to change the name of a variable and we already have data in our data view, you should understand that when you change the name of a variable, you do not change the whole data. When you delete age here and put another name, the rest of the data remains the same, okay? So you can change the name of the variable, but it does not change the data. all values associated with that variable, they are going to stay the same. So the data type, the width, the decimal, the labels, the values, the missing columns, the line, the measure, it's going to remain the what? The same. You have just changed the what? The name. So renaming a variable is simply changing the name of that variable while leaving everything else the same. Okay? So that is about name. Okay? There are no questions. We are going to proceed. We are going to go to type. Okay? So type in SPSS, basically, it is the data type that is going to be associated with your what? With your name. If you want to change the data type, you can actually click inside there, and then you're going to have these data types come up, and you can choose which data type you want to use. So if you are using numeric, you can choose numeric. If you are using date, scientific notation, in what form will your data be, in short, okay? So you can choose string, okay? If your data is going to be maybe words, okay? For instance, age, the name of a variable called marital status, like I said. Maybe sometimes you will leave it an open-ended question. So maybe people are going to respond, I'm single, I'm married, and other types of marital status that are available there. So if your response is going to be like that, like someone answers married or single, then that is a string, okay? Because those are what? Those are words. So you can choose string as your what? As your data type, and when you click on string, then you can click OK. But for age, our data type is going to be what? Numeric, because age is what? Is numbers. If someone is 26 years old, they are 26 years old. Okay? All right. Then the other thing we're going to look at is basically there isn't so much to talk about data type. I hope you understand, okay? And you also have seen how to change or what to indicate the data type, okay? So the width is basically the number of digits which will be displayed for what? For a numeric value, or the length of your string. So under width here, it's basically the number of maybe age. We know that it will just be two words, right? Two numbers, right? If someone's 26, most likely we cannot have someone who is 10 shan. But then we can actually decide to change the width. If you want it to be 4, if you want it to be 3, you can just click inside and click on those arrows, and you notice that the width, it does what? It increases. So it's basically the number of what? The length of your string. If it's a word, for instance, female has how many words? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Female has 6 words. So if you want to make it clear that female is going to have 6 words, you can just leave it on 6 like that. Okay, but maybe 8 is okay. 8 is okay, so we can just leave it at 8. For age, we can even leave it at 2. It will still be enough, because like we said, 2 only has 2 digits. Okay, I mean age could only have 2 digits. So basically that is it. Okay, and then the next one we'll look at is decimal. How many decimal places will your data have? It could be 0, it could be 1, it could be 2, depending on how many decimal places you want, okay? If you're dealing with quantitative data, you might want to leave the decimal places at 3, because it's recommendable. But for us, it doesn't really matter here, okay? Then the next one is label, okay? Labels are very important in SPSS, okay? Because while we are going to write a name here, when you start analyzing your data, sometimes it will be labels which will be appearing if you had indicated any labels. So what do we use labels for? A label, basically, it's a brief description of your what? Of the displayed name or variable. Okay. For instance, the name age. If you want to give a brief description, we can actually say maybe how old are you? Huh? Let's do that. That would properly describe this. How old? How old are you? So this is a label for age. What does age mean? It's asking the question, how old are you? Okay. So basically that's about labels. Okay. So you notice that under labels, you can actually leave space. So if perhaps it was so hard for you to come up with a name that is going to be understood this side, you can actually come to labels and actually write it properly, okay? And give it more information. So basically that's how you use what? Label. Then you're going to go to values. Okay? Values, basically, these are they're associated with the category abbreviation. For instance, if you're dealing with nominal or ordinal data, okay, and so maybe you have multiple choices, okay, and so you want to give values to those multiple choices. For instance, if you you have data that is maybe trying to create a rank for an organization, right? So you have a question like, are you satisfied with the services that are offered here? So you're going to have 1, very satisfied. Like maybe you're going to have a like it scale. Okay, so in basically data that has a like it scale. So maybe you're going to have a measurement maybe from 0 to 5 or maybe from 1 to 5, right? So you can actually create labels for that kind of information. Also, if you want to represent age in numeric, if you want to represent maybe gender in numeric form, right? Okay, so you can say 1 is going to represent female and 2 is going to represent male, meaning you have created labels for that so much that instead of people entering 1, or even you as you're analyzing your data, when someone says they're female, instead of you writing the actual word female, you're just going to write 1. And the other one, when they say I'm male, instead of you writing male, you're going to write 2. Okay, so basically that is giving what your giving labels value. Okay, all right, so let's try to do this. For instance, in age, if your questionnaire had categories, for instance, for maybe anyone who, like the first one is maybe 10 to 20, like you ask the question, how old are you? And then so there are these multiple choices, and then we have number 1, which is maybe 10 to 20. If you are 10 to 20, you should tick on 1. If you are 21 to 40, you should tick on number 2. If you are 41 and above, you should tick number 3. We can actually create what? Value labels for these. Okay, so we can say under value, we can say 1 is going to represent everyone who is between 10 to what? To 20. And then when we are done, we are going to say the value is 1. The label is going to be what? 10 to 20. Okay? Then you click OK. And then the second one, we can say the second one is everyone who is 21 to 40 is going to be presented with what? Number 2. When you're done, you click on add. Then the third one is going to be represented by number 3, which is going to be the value, and we're going to say anyone who is 41 or above, like that. Then we can click what? Okay, there we are. We have 3 labels. The first one is 1, the second one is 2, the third one is 3. Basically, do not worry about these decimal places. Remember, we said we are going to have 3 decimal places. which so we do not need so much. If we want, we can remove them, but I'm just trying to make you see how it works, okay? So we have 3 decimal places, okay? So we can click OK, then we can add these labels. There it is, so much that anyone who is 10 to 20, they're going to choose 1 instead of writing the actual one. And if we don't want these labels, we can click on each one of them and click remove. And also go to the other one and choose remove, and also go to the third one and also choose what? Remove. Okay? So basically, this is how you add value labels. In this particular age, we are not going to have value labels. We are going to leave it an open-ended question, so much that people will just be writing how old they are. Okay, so we'll be entering the actual ages. Okay, if someone is 20 years old, they're going to indicate that they're 20 years old. We're not going to have multiple choice for us. So we're going to leave it none. Able to see that? There is none there. All right. So we're going to go to the next one, which is what? Missing. Missing, basically, it talks about maybe people who might have left the questionnaire blank, or maybe they just decided not to answer, okay, or maybe it did not apply to them. So this category, basically, it gives a description of that data which is missing, okay? If there's missing data, you have to indicate that here, yes, there's missing data, and you have to give it a what? A value. In our case, we are just going to say the data is not missing, so we are going to leave it under none, okay? Columns, basically, how wide you want your column to be. How wide you want your column to be. You can actually use these to make it maybe big like that, okay? Or alternatively, like we do in Microsoft Excel, if you've interacted, you take your cursor in between the 2 columns and then you hold and drag like that, okay? So if you want to extend the column, you can easily do that for all of them. You are going to hold and drag like that. Are you able to see that? So I've actually extended most of them like that, okay? Like that. But see, that is how you can change the width of your columns. All right, there isn't so much here. And then alignment, we also don't have so much under alignment. You know what alignment is? You decide if you want your data to be on the left, on the right, or it should be centered, okay? So basically that's about alignment. For this one, we are going to leave it just the way it is. Right is okay. Okay. So when you choose right, you notice that all the data will be aligned to the right. Let's try to choose left. We see what happens. Okay. So the data that you're going to enter when you choose left, it will be aligned to your what? To your left. And then when you center, again, the data that you're going to enter, which will be associated with this label, with this name, it's going to be what? To be centered. Okay. All right. So the next one we're going to look at is the measurement. Okay. The next one we'll look at is the measurement. We have 3 measurements, okay? We have 3 measurements. The first one is what? Scale. Then we also have ordinal and we also have nominal. But then when you're working with data, how do you know which one you're going to choose, okay? How do you know which one you will choose when you're doing what? When you're working with certain what? Variables. So I'm going to explain a little bit about each one of these so that we can understand when and how to use each of these measures, okay? So basically the level of measurement, which is nominal, ordinal, or scale, okay? You can decide maybe by sometimes SPS by default is going to choose scale for all the variables, okay? with numeric responses, it's going to assume that, okay, this is a scale. So it's going to automatically dictate numeric, and then it's going to say what is scale. And if you do not clearly check and make sure that you know what you're doing, you can easily get what? Confused. So no wonder it is very important for you to change the specified measurements level to the appropriate what? Settings. Okay. So the first one we're going to look at is nominal. If you're able to see, there's nominal here. Okay. Nominal variables can be treated as nominal when the values represent them. They're what? They have no what? They have no ranking or any intrinsic ranking, basically, yeah. So for example, if you are looking at some variables which are like maybe gender of a person, there's no ranking for gender of a person. Someone is either male or female. There's nothing like, no, female is better than male, male is better than female, or maybe someone is more female than the other. Then we also have other variables like nominal variables like region, the place where someone lives. We also have the zip code, okay, religious affiliation. These do not have any ranking, and they are what? They are words, okay? They are words and they do not have any ranking. Such kind are the ones that you put under what? Under nominal, okay? And then the second one we have is ordinal, okay? The second one we have is ordinal. Under ordinal, these are variables which represent categories with some ranking, okay? For example, levels of service or satisfaction. For instance, maybe there is a car wash, and so they're doing a research to check the levels of satisfaction. They want to know how people are satisfied with their services. So they're going to create maybe a degree of satisfaction. They're going to create this questionnaire, which is going to maybe to get the degree of satisfaction on their consumers. Okay, so maybe they're going to start from very high to very low. Okay, maybe another degree of consent towards maybe certain issues. It could be high or it could be low. You understand? Okay, basically, like I mentioned, that it is basically preferable. If it's preferable to assign what? Numeric codes to represent the degree among respondents. For instance, maybe we're going to have 1 to represent highly satisfied. Remember when I was talking about the values? So in this case, if you want to create values for this kind of a question, which is an ordinal question, and it's talking about a degree of satisfaction or maybe a degree of consent, then you're going to have maybe 1 highly satisfied, 2 just satisfied, 3 neutral, and 4 what? Dissatisfied. And then we also have 5, which is what? Highly dissatisfied. Okay, so that's basically how ordinal works. Ordinal has ranks and it is 2 words, but you can represent them using what? Numbers. So that is what you need to know about that. Okay, and the other one is scale. Okay, the other one is scale. So a scale variable, this one is usually, it's usually a number, okay? It's usually a number, and it can be the value thereof, like that number itself, it has what? It is very meaningful. For instance, if you ask someone, how old are you? If they say I am 20 years old, that value is what is meaningful. And also, if you ask someone their height, if they say maybe they are 3.5 tall, that's 3.5 tall, it's the actual value, and it's what? It is not representing maybe any ranking or some sort. It is the actual value, okay? And then we also have income. If you want to know how much people get maybe in a certain company, so this one tells you, me, I get maybe 5,000 per month, me, I get 15,000 per month. That money, it is meaningful on its own. It is not representing any ranking or any of some sort, okay? So basically, this is how you use what? Measures, okay? Okay? Yeah. So under age, it can either be scale or it can be ordinal, because under age, you can say maybe this one is older than this one, okay? And also that one is older than that one, okay? We can come up with such kind of analysis, okay? And also we can come up with another analysis where we can say maybe so much people were this old, okay? So no wonder I'm saying it can be scale or it can be ordinal. So I'm just going to put ordinal, okay? Yeah. So that's about what? Measure. And the other thing I'm going to talk about is raw. There isn't so much about raw. Raw is basically deciding on what role this variable is going to play in your analysis. Is it a dependent variable? Is it an independent variable? You know, such kind of things. Okay, so they're different. There's input, there's target, there's both, there's none. Okay, there's partitioning, there's also split. Okay, but for us, we want these values to be independent variables. So we're just going to leave it under what? Under input. Okay. So basically, this is about these what variables. That is how you define what? These variables. Okay. So the other, let's try to enter another variable so that we can see how this works. Maybe we should enter one that has that is ordinal, another one that is nominal. Okay. Okay. All right. So we're going to proceed like that. Yeah. So the next one we can use is right. Let's use we used age, we are going to use gender. Let's use gender. So the next variable name we're going to have is gender. Okay? Gender, we are going to leave it also numeric. Remember I said we can use numbers to represent the gender, and that's exactly what we are going to do. So we're going also to leave it under what? Numeric, okay? And the width, we just leave it like that. Decimal places, do we need any decimal places? No, we do not need any decimal places for gender. Someone cannot be female point something, right? So we are going to leave it just like that. We don't need any decimal places. Okay. And then the label is we can add any label, but gender is clear enough. Sometimes we don't need a label. When a variable is clear enough, most times we don't need a label. So we are going to say, maybe for the sake of trying for us to understand what we do under a label, in case you didn't understand the first one, I mentioned that under label, basically you just give more information to your variable name. Okay. So under gender, if we wanted to give more information to gender, we can say what is your gender, right? Okay, that is basically that's what we'll say. We're going to say what is your gender, like that. Okay, so we can extend it so that we are able to see everything in there. So that is our label. What is your gender? So we're going to come to values. I said we are going to represent this label using what? Using numbers. Okay, so we are going to have value number 1 to represent females. There, like that. Then we are going to just, I think it is good. It is best practice to write these values, including labels. Actually, I should mention, including labels. It is good practice to use capital letters for them, because, like I said, these labels are what will show sometimes. Basically, when you're analyzing data, the labels are what will show instead of maybe age or gender. It's going to show how old are you with maybe age in brackets, what is your gender with gender in brackets. So it is good practice to use capital letters so that they are properly represented. So label, this is going to be female, like that. Then we're going to click add. And the next one is going to be 2, which is going to represent male. And then we're going to click add. So we have these 2 values in here, and then since they are exactly what we want, we are going to click OK. And there it is. We've created the labels for gender. Okay. I'm going to show you how they look under data view so that then it will make more sense. Under missing, we don't have any missing value. Under columns, I think 8 is okay. So we are going to move under align. Let's just align everything center so that everything can be properly aligned. All right, so under measure, do you think this is scale? Do you think it's ordinal or it's nominal? The gender of a person. Do you think it's nominal or it's ordinal or it is scale? Gender of a person. All right, so we say that gender does not have any ranking, so it's going to be nominal. You cannot say that this one is more female than the other, or this one has more gender than this one. No, you cannot say that. So it's a nominal, okay? And it is what? It is words. It's either female or male. In fact, we can actually add other here in case there are people who would rather not say whether they are male or female. They can decide to say, we can add the third label. In fact, let's add the third label. In case there are people who would rather not say, the world is evolving. People would rather not say what gender they are, and there are people who would say that they do not belong in either of these. So we can actually add other in order for our questionnaire to accommodate everyone, okay? So we are going to say other, then we're going to click OK, then we can easily click OK. So now we have 3 of them. So we can either have male, female, or other, and all these are what? They are nominal. They do not have any form of ranking or anything, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's proceed. Under row, we just leave it under input, like I said. Yeah. Okay. Then now the next one we'll look at is the last one we'll add. I said we are going to have one more, which is income, right? Yeah. We're going to have one more. We can add income. Yeah, we can add income. So our next one will be income. Income there. Income is going to be numeric also. The width 8 is okay. 2 decimal places is also okay. What could give more information to our income? We could say, would it be okay to ask someone at how much do you get paid per month? Or can we say like just earn? We just say how much do you earn? How much do you earn per month, so that we are able to make we're able to give a range. Yeah, so we're going to say how much do you earn? How much do you earn? Monthly. Like that. I hope monthly is correct. Looks wrong. All right. So that is our label. Okay. We can extend so that we're able to see everything. How much do you earn monthly? Oh, yeah, it's actually wrong. I've left out an H here, and it looked wrong. Okay, like that. So that is going to be our label, okay? And then under values, we can decide whether we want to put values or it will be an open-ended question. People will be saying, no, me, I get 5,000. Actually, let's create labels. Let's create values, okay? We can say maybe 0 is going to represent everyone who gets 1,000 to 5,000. Yeah. Or maybe this is too much. We could start from 100 to 1,000. Yeah, basically we can start from there, depending on the people that you are doing this research on. So we can say 100 to 1,000 as our first label. And then we are going to have 1 to represent everyone who gets 1,000 to 3,000, like that. So we have the second label, and then maybe we can have another one. This one could be presented by 2, and we can say everyone who gets between 3,000 to 8,000, maybe 8,000, they are going to choose this one. Then we can also have another one, maybe another one where it's saying everyone who gets, this was going to be represented by 3, right? So everyone who gets 8,000 to 20,000. 8,000 to 20,000. Then we can add. And then maybe we can say everyone who gets 20,000 and above, right? So we can have another one which is going to say 20,000 and above. So there we are. Like that. Okay? So this is our label for income. Okay? So we are going to click add, then we are going to click OK. Then we are going to have those labels in here. Missing, we don't have any missing value. Then like I said, we're going to align everything to the right. Then measure, this is scale, okay? So basically this is how we enter our data. This is how we define our variables in SPSS, okay? All right, so I'm going to click on under data view so that we see how this data looks like under a different view. You notice now we have the variables with the names, and when you take your cursor on one of them, it's going to show you all the attributes associated with it. For instance, gender. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so under age, we have the name, which is age. Then we have the label, which is how old are you. Okay, then we have type, numeric, and measure is what? Ordinal. And then we also have gender, which is the name, label, what is your gender, type, it's also numeric. Okay, and measure is what? Nominal. Then we have how much do you earn monthly, which is a label. And then we have income as the name. Okay, and then this one, the measure is scale. So basically this is how they look. Okay, so this is how you define your variables. This is how you define your variables. Okay, and if you want to enter some data, like I said, we use the data view to enter the data. And let's try to enter some data. Age, we can say 20 years old. Gender, we can say female. Female, and then income, we can say 1,000, right? Maybe the next one is the next one is maybe how old the age is 30. And then gender, say they are male. And remember I said that the gender will be presented by numbers, so we cannot write male. We're going to write 1 for female. Then we're going to write 2 for male. And then this one, let's say they get 5,000. Like that, okay? And the next one is going to be 60 years old. And they would rather not say their gender, and they get 6,000 per month. That's 60,000, is it? Yes, so 6,000 per month, okay? And the next one is going to be 25 years old, and their gender is going to be, let's say they're also female, and this one gets 15,000. 2, 3, 15,000 per month. Okay, that way we're entering data. You see how easy it is to enter data? It is so easy. You just enter data as it is. So the next one will be 36 years old, and maybe this one is female, and this one gets 4,000 per month. Let's say we have maybe 10 cases, so we're going to enter data up to 10, okay? The next one is 40 years old, and this one is male, and they get 3,000 per month. Then the next one is 15 years old, and they are male, and these they earn 1,000 per month. Okay. This one was also supposed to be 1,000. Okay. Let's proceed. The next one is it's 7 years old, and they are also female, and they earn 2,000. No, it's 20,000, 2,000 per month. Number 9 is 29 years old. They are male, and they earn 25,000. Okay, the last one is going to be 55 years old. Okay, and they female, and they earn 30,000, like that. So we would have entered data concerning these variables. You notice that the data is centered, right? Because we had indicated center for all of them. And when you go this side, you show that visible 3 of 3 variables. We have 3 variables which are visible, right? We have only 3 variables here. We have 1, 2, and 3, right? Okay. And when you go this side, it's going to show you which variable it's case 9. And then the variable name is gender, and what exactly is there, it's a 2 that is in that particular cell. Okay, so basically this is how we enter data in SPSS. When we meet next time, we're going to look at how you can import data, and the data that we are going to import, I'm going to share a file. Then the data that we are going to import together is the one that we are going to use to do some analysis. Okay, you can actually do some analysis using this data, but I want us to work with a vast amount of data so that we do not get confused. All right, I should also be quick to mention that these value labels, when you click on it, you notice that where there was ones, anywhere where there was there was some representation of the value labels, it's going to show the actual labels, okay? The actual values, okay? For instance, we had 1 representing females, and then 2 representing male, and 3 representing us. When you click, you're going to see the 1s and the 2s and the 2s, and then when you click again, you're going to see the actual values, okay? All right. So basically, this is how it works. You notice what is happening when you click there? Yeah. So you actually decide how you want it to look, or it will always look like this. But if you want the actual values to show, the actual labels to show, you can click on the on the value labels, and then you'll be able to see the values. Okay. Are there any questions? There are no questions. We are going to end here. Okay. There are no questions. We are going to end here. Next time, I'm going to share the document that we are going to work with. Okay. Or maybe before we, anyway, I need to share the document so that you can see how it works. Okay. The next time we can start from there, import a file, and then make sure that the data types and everything is properly arranged, and then we can move from there. Okay. So if there are no questions, we are going to end here. Thank you so much. See you next time.